All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us on the program, this is Still the Press, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. And now we've been joined by our very own Dr. Law Mefor. Together we shall be taking a look at the headlines I read out to you earlier, and this is also a reminder that our phone lines are now open for you to call and join the conversation. Good morning, Dr. Law. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
It's always good to see you here on Fridays. I love Fridays because, aside the fact that it's weekend, I look forward to having you on the press.
I'm blushing.
All right, let's get into the business of the day. A lot happened overnight and the national dailies this morning. Let's begin with what has been going on between Tinubu, Atiku, and the Labour Party's presidential candidate Peter Obi. Now, this headline, I'm going to take this from The Nation. Atiku's appeal lacks fact, Tinubu tells the Supreme Court. And most of our headlines this morning report that Tinubu is telling the Supreme Court to disregard Atiku's appeal against his Chicago State University certificate. So how do you react to all of this? How do you react to the progress so far, even from the time Atiku applied to Chicago State University to send in Tinubu's credentials, the back and forth where Tinubu also told his lawyer to counter the appeal the application, and all of that has been going on. Now Tinubu, even after Chicago State released the results and credentials, Atiku is not still satisfied.
Well, I don't envy Nigerians at this moment. The president himself brought us to this quagmire. It's a needless controversy. You graduated from Chicago State University. It's something you should make open to Nigerians. Tell Nigerians your history. Begin from your birth through primary education, secondary education, to your travel to United States, where you sojourned for quite a while before returning to Nigeria. And then, of course, your tertiary education experience there, beginning with Southwest College, which serves as a feeder institution to Chicago State University, CSU. You know, the story should flow. We want to see your story. We want to be sure of who the president is. So when the president is not coming through with a clear narrative, he becomes the person actually confusing, you know, creating what you may call the latitude for this confusion and conflict. I don't see where Atiku is to blame in this. In fact, Atiku is only compelling the president to come clean. And in that process, rather than take the opportunity offered by the inquiry sought by the former former vice president, Atiku Abubakar, you know, President Tinubu started urging the courts in the United States not to comply with the request being made by Atiku Abubakar. In fact, his lawyers in the last appeal, after Nancy Maldonado court ruled that the papers, the credentials and records of Tinubu in Chicago State University be released to Atiku. In their final appeal, they stated that if those records are released, that they will do irredeemable damage to Tinubu. Just look at that. You know, that in itself is self-indictment. When you say, you know, that your own records, when made public, will do irredeemable damage to you, there is something you are hiding. And what is that? That made Nigerians more curious. So he is the one that made this what it is. You know, it has become an elephant in the room, a big one, very big elephant in the room. And up till now, the records, even the records are still hazy. Let me give you an example. I read through the depositions by the registrar of Chicago State University, you know, West Bank. Wells Fargo's, there are questions he didn't answer properly, as far as I am concerned. When did Tinubu graduate? Very fundamental. Yes, he said was supposed to graduate in 1979, but did he graduate
in that 1979?
Do you understand that? When did Tinubu collect his certificate? These two questions, very fundamental. Your set can graduate without you joining them, because if you have backlog, carryovers and stuff, you will not graduate. And that is the kind of thing I saw trying to tease out some meaning out of the depositions and documents released by Chicago State University. I couldn't see where it was admitted that Tinubu collected his certificate. If he didn't collect his certificate, issue of reissue cannot occur, because you don't reissue what has not been issued. This is vague, as far as I am concerned. And I was taking a look at the transcripts, which they say is far more important that the certificate is ceremonial. Okay, given that certificate is ceremonial, even without considering that it is, because certificate is evidence that you have actually passed through this institution. I saw the transcript with which Tinubu entered Chicago State University. In that transcript from Southwest College, he had a deficit of 3 principal courses, subjects: English, mathematics, and one other. And since English is the language of instruction and examination, you must pass it. There is no record that he passed it. If he didn't pass English and mathematics, then he cannot get the certificate, even though he said has graduated. This has to be cleared. So if anybody says that Tinubu did not graduate based on what I have just said, the person is not wrong. I know when we set out for our PhD program in the University of Nigeria, we were about 15. But till today, only about 5 of us have crossed passed through. The rest ahead for one thing or the other. So the president graduate. This has not been answered, and that is what Atiku is saying. You may have attended Chicago State University, but you didn't graduate.
Well, then the question is, even if he did not graduate, but that does not stand against him being the president of Nigeria.
No,
because I know that the requirements needed is just
no, that is not the issue. The issue is that if they are holding your certificate because of courses you did not pass, do you understand that? You have not graduated, and if you issue yourself a certificate, you are purporting, you are telling the people that you have graduated, whereas the position of the university is that you have not graduated. That is forgery. You forged their own certificate, whereas the original certificate is lying down in the university there, and they cannot collect it because you have not completed your coursework. That's where we are. That is what Atiku is saying, that you cannot issue yourself a certificate. If you do so, it becomes forgery. What else is forgery? Forgery is, cooking up a document. So the question is, did the president collect his certificate? He hasn't answered this question. He hasn't. And the Chicago State University did not give very clear cut answer. All they said was that they couldn't find records of his certificate as at 1979. No, that is not the answer. The answer is either he collected the certificate or he did not. And if he did not collect the certificate, why? The institution itself is being economical with the truth. Their answers, their responses, very vague, very, very, very diplomatic, trying to save the face of the university and then possibly save the face of Nigeria and the president. But the world is looking through all this. Do you understand?
Yes.
The world is looking through all this. The world is beginning to see us as you know, people who are fraudulent. You know, if not anything, there was something you said that the president only needed a secondary school certificate. Where is the secondary school certificate? In the form he filled in INEC, he attached only the Chicago State University, you know, made up certificate, because that certificate, Westberg, the registrar, said they didn't issue it, even though in the case of reissue that it is outsourced to vendors. I ran a check on that. To outsource to vendors means that you have to apply to the university. Tinubu did not apply. You have to apply, pay $8 to the university. It's a source of revenue, and they will now send your file to the outpost that will print for you. This wasn't done. So he decided to use, from all indications, he used there is this sites, you know, that really design certificates, you know, but it's for people who maybe they want to make their certificate appear, you know, bolder, more beautiful, and all that. It's not an academic certificate. That's the point. What that, you know, that process, they will even warn you that this is not, it's not your certificate, but is this something that resembles it? Where is the original certificate of President Tinubu? Now, come back a little bit. The secondary school certificate, you can't find it. And the certificate he used in entering Southwest College is also a problem. Because it's a certificate purportedly issued by Lagos State, you know, Lagos Government College. And it carries the date 1970, whereas, you know, as of 1970, Mobolaji Johnson was not yet the governor of Lagos. It was Mobolaji Johnson that built Lagos Government College, and that was in 1973, 1974. Do you see where the problem is? Yes. So if you used a phantom, imaginary, fake secondary school certificate, there is even a bigger problem. It means that even if the Chicago State University certificate is valid, your secondary school is invalid, and you cannot build something on nothing, as the lawyers would say. What that means is that a little effort, the Chicago State University will be compelled by court to withdraw the president's certificate. Where does that leave Nigeria as a country? Do you understand this? Yes. Because if somebody goes to court, Nigerians in the US go to court now and say that, look, where you based this admission, where you based this graduation does not exist, the court will invalidate the Chicago State University certificate, if there's any. If there is any. Do you understand what I'm saying? Of course, there could still be. All the president needs to do is to go and write those papers and supply passes for them. Then he will be issued authentic certificate. But there is already a problem. He has issued himself a certificate. If these postulations are correct, it means he has issued himself a certificate, and that is the simple definition of forgery. You made up the certificate. You are not somebody. One of his aides was saying that there was no forgery, that you cannot forge what you already have. Does he have it? We need very clear, unambiguous answers to these fundamental germane questions. If you have it, you have it. And if it is lying down in the university, they have no right to issue it. You have to apply to the university to release it. And if they cannot release it, they will tell you why. You know, people can... for example, my master's in the public administration is still lying down in the University of Calabar. I haven't gone to collect it because I have 2 other master's certificates that I'm using. Do you understand that? In line with my pursuit to PhD, you know, when I was pursuing that. So, but if it was, you know, you know, I don't have to go and forge University of Calabar certificate because I graduated in public administration there. That would be forgery. Because they didn't issue it to you. That is the issue here. That's Atiku's position. That you faked the certificate of Chicago State University. You faked it. Whether or not you passed through it That is the crux of the matter. That is where the president has brought us. And let me, mention, I believe that many of us must have started seeing the results out there. Nigerians have come under scrutiny everywhere in the world. Canada, US, UK, Europe.
Even some schools have banned Nigerians from applying for
admission. They don't even want to see us now. Our nurses, many of them have been scrutinized. Some have been deported or have been deported. Many more of this will follow. Now you come to what we call DFI, Direct Foreign Investment. Once the president himself is not above board, nobody will trust in Nigeria. There is this saying that that Caesar's wife must be above board. Do you understand that? So the president is come clean with all these things, and let us understand him. We want to know, did he really commit identity theft? Because that's part of the problem. Even though the issue of identity theft cannot come before the Supreme Court now because it wasn't part of the original, but it has become a moral issue. Do you understand what I'm saying? But when it comes to legal consideration, I believe that Atiku has proved the forgery. He has proved it. Because the university has said we didn't issue what you supplied, and the president and his minders are saying that the president can print his certificate using some sites. No, it's also not true. You have to apply to Chicago State University. You have to pay $8, and they will send your file to an appropriate authorized vendor that will print it for you. He didn't do that. So what else do you want Atiku to prove?
All right. Yes, as at yesterday, I was saying, even on the press here, I said, at this point, I was hoping that the president would come out and say something. Maybe to Nigerians who are waiting for him to come out clean and express himself, tell us what's going on. But then, coming this morning and saying that he addressed everything he had to say to the Supreme Court, telling them to disregard Atiku's statement that he has no basis, to disregard that he has no merit, and all of that. And he still made mention of the fact that Atiku is trying to challenge the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Court, which dismissed the petition against his victory in February 25th elections. So he doesn't understand this. I want to believe that he doesn't understand this from the aspect of we are trying to prove that what you submitted, this is forgery, and because he made it seem like Atiku is trying to still challenge what the Election Petition Tribunal said.
It's not only Atiku. Obi, yesterday or day before yesterday, addressed a World Press Conference where he raised even more questions than Atiku did. So it's not just a case of Atiku. Nigerians are asking, Mr. President, address us on this, come clean. If I were Tinubu, look, I will tell Nigerians the truth, no matter how tragic. I'll tell my story. Do you understand that? And they will take it from there. Tell my story. Tell who I am. If you are a modern...
It's not too late to do that at this point.
It's not. Because he has, there is what you call catharsis. He needs to free himself from all this. You will see from 1992 when he applied to go to the Senate, when Gani started raising this issue, that this guy is not who you think he is. Gani went up to Supreme Court and it was knocked off based on technicalities. Even in that INEC form he filled then, he entered that he holds a degree in economics. It's not true. He worked in ExxonMobil as accountant, but your certificate is read in business and administration. I don't know. Maybe you can employ somebody who read biz admin as an accountant. That is up to ExxonMobil, but he worked as an accountant. He has been presented to us as an accountant, but that's not what the certificate is saying. So you need to know who we are talking about. Do you understand that? You are up till last week, your description on Wikipedia is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But your NYC certificate, you say Bola Adekunle Tinubu. I see this problem. Your NYC certificate that is supposed to be based on your university certificate. Because that is what you have to supply to NYSC for documentation and everything. So why all this? Now, a few days ago, they went to his site on Wikipedia and modified it to add Adekunle. It becomes now Bola Ahmed Adekunle Tinubu. You know, that chameleonic kind of presentation of self. You are dealing with, you know, the identity of 220 million blacks. The biggest black country in the whole world. That's the tragedy here. So we need to know who our president is. And if we cannot get to know who our president is, nobody should be blamed for all these speculations.
But if you ask me, I'll say I feel like this is happening because this is not even the first time. Remember, even the former president of Nigeria, we had issues like this back and forth of his identity, where he is from. A lot of people believed other things. Even at some point, Nigeria started believing that he was cloned and all of that, because the issue was not straight. We kept on having back and forth with his identity and all of that.
Not straight. So Nigeria has carried on like a rogue state for a long time now. Do you understand that? The constitution says you must be educated up to secondary school. When Buhari was running in 2015, the issue of his certificate was
still an issue.
Till today, Buhari has not presented his secondary school certificate. Nigerians who wanted Jonathan out at all costs say that, look, he can run with even a label of bread or a leper bill. That's us. So that's where we are. Do you understand that?
Yes.
When Ghana started raising this issue as far back as 1990, just look at it. You have the DSS, you have EFCC, you have all this. You have the police. Why did they all wait till this moment? Because if they had taken up the investigation before now, maybe the president wouldn't even contest, or he would have gone to correct his records. Because what does it really take? You have a reference in 2 or 3 courses. You go back to the FIDA college and receive those papers. Adeleke, for example, was already a senator when he wrote his. That is what men do. You own up. Senator Adeleke, that is now the governor of Osun State, he was already a serving senator. We saw him in class writing his WAEC or NECO or GC or something like that to fulfill the constitutional requirements to be able to run. But that is not what you have in this instance. We are made to accept it. It has become take it or leave it kind of thing. No, Nigerians deserve to know who their president is. There is even a bigger problem of Tinubu not being Tinubu. We have heard about the case of somebody they call Amoda Yekine Ogunlere from one Olabweji somewhere in Osun State. Do you understand that? You know, so if this is not a murder case we are treating here, whose case are we treating? There is the issue of even identity, that the person that actually attended Southwest College was a woman. You know, these are issues that need to be cleared. And you see, it's still not late, because because for me now, what we are looking at is even beyond whatever Supreme Court will say. Supreme Court, they may look at the matter as so damning, and they will just tell Atiku, well, this thing arrived late. The matter remains in the court of public opinion. Do you understand what I'm saying? No matter what the Supreme Court says, even though they have an opportunity to really compel the president to tell the truth, that is the only way you can save the face of the country. Otherwise, it's now left for Nigerians themselves to take measures. Like I told you, that Nigerians can go to Nigerians in the US can institute a legal process compelling Chicago State University to withdraw the certificate if it exists. Do you understand that? Based on the fact that the secondary school certificate with which he entered the Southwest College, which ultimately took him to Chicago State University, once that foundational certificate is forged, there is no way your certificate can stand. Remember the case of Obla, former presidential advisor under Buhari on recovery of public properties and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Why is he in court? He's in court because he's being suspected that he used somebody's certificate to enter University of Jos. Now, if Obla is in court because he used somebody else's certificate,
why not the president?
Why can't the president be made to account? Do you see where we are? Mm-hmm. So we need to be organized there. And the constitution is very clear. Express mention of one thing is an express exclusion of another. The constitution says once there is a case of forgery, dishonesty, you are not qualified to.
Okay, now this brings me back to a memory just flashed, because I remember even after the president did his nomination for ministerial positions and sent their portfolio to the Senate for review, we saw pictures, we saw videos, there was evidence of you can bow and go.
Yes.
Nobody scrutinized that, nobody checked that. And then this is the kind of things that we're talking about. It lingers on. If someone who maybe at that time did have the proper credentials needed, he keeps going.
For example, there is a Southern Youth Corps that is a minister. That matter ought to be detected by the DSS. Otherwise, you ask yourself, what is this screening by DSS about? You submit credentials. You submit your CV, and they need to go through it with a toothbrush. But that is not what we are seeing. How come a Southern Youth Corps is a minister, and yet there is a law that says you cannot take up a federal government appointment without NYSC discharge certificate? Is a ministerial appointment not a federal government appointment? The president has allowed it, and National Assembly, the Senate particularly, has refused to withdraw that confirmation. That is where we are. So we have become a country of anything goes. We have gotten to the point of bastardizing the grown norm, which is the 1999 Constitution as amended. So if we sweep this under the carpet, because the Supreme Court may say that the evidence arrived there late, and therefore their hands are tied, they can say that. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
But the question is, you are not qualified. It does not matter what the Supreme Court says, and the world is aware of this. The world knows, and that is why they are looking at all of us. The searchlight is for none of us. So if you are traveling to US now, and you have to pass through maybe Istanbul, to Dubai, Turkey, and all that before you get to the US, it means you must use connecting flights, right? Nigerians will hear way. Let me use our local parlance this time around, because there is no way the world will overlook this, and they are already responding to it. Because they know it is wrong. They know, you see, in leadership, one fundamental principle that must be the foundation. The foundation of leadership is integrity. You understand that? It's integrity. Without integrity, there is no way you can erect public good. That's where we are. It's sad, but true.
Oh. Like, we've had lots of callers on the program so far, and I just wanted us to have a proper view of this conversation before I start taking calls. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is Akim calling from Lagos.
Good morning, Mr. Akim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How is KAFTAN?
Very well, thank you.
Okay. This issue of certificate or not certificate, it's been dragged for quite a long time now. But one thing I don't understand is quite a long time, even this since during the time of late Ganifa, as we said. So, if at all there is anything fishy, even when Tinubu was not in power, does it mean that Tinubu is more powerful than anybody in this world? So, what I'm trying to point out here is this. In our assessment or comment or whatever, at least we should try to be balanced. cannot trust the Nigerian politicians. Politicians will do all they will do, fake and true, put together in order to just achieve their target. So what I'm trying to point out here is this. Peter Obi and Atiku Abubakar, to me, in my understanding, prior to even the election, shouldn't it be when they should have at least raised issues like this, okay? And even before the tribunal talk, you understand? We haven't heard of all these talks. I'm not trying to defend the Mr. President, but to me, as far as I'm concerned, in Nigeria we are divided, not only today. Some sections are emotional simply because they are not the ones in the presidency. I'm sorry to say this. Because even if it is people that are in support of Tinubu, if it's not the one, they will do the same thing. So, when are we going to really get it right in this country? Because I expect the opposition, when they are trying to get their opposition thing, they should remember that there are less privileged people that are waiting for governance in this country. So, let's even assume, lastly, let's assume that finally Mr. President is uprooted from the seat. So does this mean that Atiku Abubakar will become the president? It's not possible because he has not even met the requirements. Does it mean that Peter Obi will become the president? It's not possible. It doesn't require the requirement. Then the next thing is another call on Nigeria for another election. Well, whichever way it will be, Supreme Court will be the ultimate. All this one that we are saying is just the public opinion, which is nice anyway. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, beautiful morning to you, Abu. My Abu, senior citizen, doctor. Beautiful morning to you. You are on to SMD from Lagos.
Good morning, SMD.
Thank you very much as usual. I always appreciate KAFTAN TV for giving us this ample opportunity. I don't want to go deeper into this certificate saga and so on, of this certificate brouhaha. Let me be honest with you. The issue is, I always say, we must have to learn how to respect our institution. And this is the implication of lack of internal democracy right from day one. Because to me, to my own mutual understanding, this would have been a duty to a political party before we reach to this extent. That is on that. And I hope and pray we will learn how to respect this, our political institution, for betterment of our democratic system in the nation. And secondly, I want to talk of the headline related to the argument on Olukoyede appointment as an EFCC chairman. You see, honestly speaking, sometimes I said, sometimes the law complicates easy matters. But whether you like it or not, there are technical languages when it comes to legislation, constitutional issue which like legal interpretation. For those who are making argument, the court on the section 3, section 2, subsection 3, which says these are the kind of criteria that will be nominated as chairperson of that organization. Now, I don't know, when we say one must be working as a law enforcement, either retired or serving officer, or he served for 15 years and so on and so forth. I don't know when a legal department become law enforcement agency, even though the presidency accords based on the same section 2, subsection 3 that gives the president the veto power to make the appointment. So you see, from this angle, that is why we have three arms of government. We have the executive, we have the judiciary, and then we have the legislature. So I think to avoid all this brouhaha, we should run to the judiciary for legal interpretation regarding this matter, so that governance will continue. Thank you very much. From Lagos.
Thank you, SMD. Thank you so much for always joining us on the program.
Yeah, the first caller was saying that it depends on where one is coming from, and therefore one could take a position. No, I'm talking about the position of the law. Do you understand that? And even if you say the matter is before the Supreme Court, it's not every aspect of this matter that is before the Supreme Court. Do you understand what I'm saying? For example, the forgery of the certificate, the secondary school certificate, the Lagos Government College certificate, it's not before the Supreme Court. Do you get the point? So even if you don't want to talk about the validity of his Chicago State University certificate, you can at least talk about related issues that are not before the Supreme Court. And I have built scenarios showing that it is indeed a problem that we need to solve once and for all. Because in the eye of the world, we are now fraudsters. That is where the danger is. And in everything, perception is far more important than reality. You can be traveling, and because they see a great passport, they already have a perception of the kind of person they think you are. And that will determine the level of scrutiny that you'll be subjected to. Do you understand that? So while other nationals will pass, you are kept aside and delayed, scrutinized, humiliated, dehumanized, scanned. I have seen where you will even see a male frisking a Nigerian woman at the airport. Nothing can be more humiliating. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you see other Africans passing, but because you are carrying the green passport. Why? Because they believe that we have become master forgers. What that means is that whatever comes from Nigeria lacks integrity and needs to be revalidated. If you go to the UK now to do a master's with a Nigerian certificate, you have to pass through a remedial master's before they can trust that you'll be able to proceed. That's it. So if you have a certificate, even when genuine, still lacks integrity. So we need to understand why some of us are worried. Even if we're not worried for Nigerians inside Nigeria, worry for millions of Nigerians who are in the diaspora, in African country, in Europe, in US, everywhere. Making out a living. Now, you will see that all of them that have been working no matter how long, their certificates will be recorded now and secretly scrutinized, and any issue they see anywhere will not only amount to or lead to dismissal of such an employee, it may lead ultimately to deportation of the individual back to Nigeria. That is why I said that it is within the onus, within the purview of the president to come clean and clear this whole thing, because he perpetrated it. He has only himself to blame in all this. Yes, there could be some things that would make somebody to do one or two things, but overall, there should be that tendency, your inclination to goodness, your inclination to integrity, your inclination that shows that indeed, certain things you did, even though they may be somehow, they were circumstantial. We need to see all these things. Do you get the point? Yeah. If you don't get these things out there in the open, the way you will satisfy Nigerians and the international community, we may end up being treated as a rogue state. Our citizens treated as citizens of a rogue state. Let me give you examples of rogue states. Afghanistan, Somalia. There are countries like that. That's the way you want Nigerians to be seen. So we need to do something to get ourselves back on track. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And I also agree with the last caller that if only the political parties had done their work, we wouldn't be where we are at the moment. Yes, I agree with him totally.
All right. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm Engineer Sam. I'm calling you from the Edo State.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
I'm enjoying the program, seriously.
Thank you so much.
I just want to make my point.
Okay. Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
You said?
Please turn down the volume of your TV set.
All right, I've done so.
Okay.
You can hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear.
I said I want to make my point regarding the issue you people are discussing.
Okay.
What is it called? The world is full of so many challenges here and there. You see, the world is not now talking about our president and what our president do, what our president did not. I, for one, am interested of the cup of rice that my mother bought that we could not buy. I'm interested of the fuel that we could not even power our car to go to work. I'm interested of the children that the school fees have not been paid. I'm interested of the rent that are not paid. What Nigerians are interested in is hunger. Nigerians are hungry. All this paper discussion that they are primary school and secondary school and they don't have NYC, it's not what we put food on our table. The international community will not fix our economy.
Right.
We need you people to talk to Mr. President that the people are hungry. Let's throw paper aside. We need results of what we have voted for.
All right. Thank you so much for your contributions.
Yeah, foundation, yes, I agree with him that we should worry about good governance, deliveries of dividends of democracy. Very important. They are fundamental. But the question is, where is the foundation? Where is the foundation? You need to place these things on a foundation. You can't place something on nothing and expect it to stand.
All right.
Once you lack integrity, common good will not be possible.
Okay.
And that is why we have very faulty economic policies, tending towards satisfying Western powers. Deregulation, what because removal of fuel subsidy, floating of the naira, and even our move to Niger Republic, all targeted at satisfying Western powers at the detriment of what this young man is talking about. All
right, thank you so much for coming on the program, Dr. Lloyd. It's always amazing to have you here.
Thank you.
Join us on the press. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we draw the curtain today and this week on the press, coming to you live from the Abuja studios of KAFTAN Television. We had lots of callers and we were not able to pick all calls today. Please do join us some other time and we hope to hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. I am Sandra Ago.